Do you believe that your memory problems are just a normal part of aging? Do you sometimes feel like your thoughts are stuck behind a curtain, just out of reach? Like a name that hovers on the tip of your tongue, or a moment you swore happened yesterday, now lost somewhere in the fog? You're not alone, and you're not imagining things. But what if I told you that the clarity you're searching for, your focus, your alertness, your memory, isn't just about age? What if I told you that what you eat before you sleep could quietly shape the way your brain works? Let me tell you a story about Helen. She's 81, lives in a small house outside Toronto, and wakes up every morning with a cup of tea and a blank journal. Helen used to be a school librarian, sharp, orderly, the kind of woman who remembered not only the names of every student she ever taught, but their favorite books too. But a year ago, something changed. She started walking into the kitchen and forgetting why she went. She'd reread the same page in her novel 3 times and still not recall what she read. Her daughter said it was just aging. "You're still doing great, Mom." But Helen knew something was slipping. That's when she came across a study from Tufts University about the connection between food and memory. Not supplements, not medications, just food. Real simple food, what the researchers called functional nourishment for cognitive resilience. That phrase stuck with Helen. Cognitive resilience, the ability to stay yourself sharp, strong, and aware, even as the years pile on. She decided to try something. Nothing dramatic, just a handful of blueberries before bed. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Blueberries, really? Yes, because blueberries, especially the wild kind, are packed with anthocyanins, a class of powerful antioxidants that support the brain in multiple ways. They protect neurons, improve communication between brain cells, and reduce inflammation that quietly damages the memory center of the brain. Studies show that seniors who consume blueberries daily perform better on memory and concentration tests than those who don't. This isn't just science, it's a strategy. And for Helen, it made a difference. After just a few weeks, she told me she felt like a veil had been lifted. She could follow conversations better. She was writing more in her journal, remembering small details. Her words came easier. And you know what she said? "I feel like I'm coming back home to myself." But that wasn't all Helen did. She added something else to her evening routine. Something even smaller, but just as powerful: pumpkin seeds. Yes, those little green seeds we often forget about after Halloween. Turns out they're loaded with magnesium, zinc, iron, and copper, 4 minerals that play a crucial role in brain health. Magnesium in particular is vital after 60 because a deficiency in it can cause anxiety, poor sleep, and cognitive fog. And studies show that more than half of people over 65 don't get enough. That brings me to George. George is 77, a retired railroad engineer from Ohio. Big hands, quiet voice, used to fixing things. But then he started misplacing his tools. The wrench he used every week, gone. The screwdriver he swore he left on the bench, nowhere. He got scared. He thought maybe he was slipping. But his doctor ran tests and told him it was low magnesium. Nothing more. His daughter, who works in a wellness clinic, told him to start eating pumpkin seeds before bed. A small bowl. No salt, just the seeds. George made it a habit. Every night around 8:30, he'd pour his seeds into a ceramic bowl, sit near the window with a book, and snack slowly. 3 weeks later, he called me and said, "I don't feel foggy anymore. I don't feel like I'm fading." Blueberries and pumpkin seeds. Simple things. Not fancy pills, not expensive programs. Just food. Real, natural, powerful food that speaks to the deepest parts of who we are. And this is what elderly wisdom has always told us. Your body will whisper before it screams. Your brain will nudge before it forgets. The question is, will you listen? Because when you do, you're not just protecting your memory. You're claiming your independence. You're telling yourself, "I'm still in here, and I'm not done yet." That's the heart of senior health, not just living longer, but living clearer, stronger, more aware. And these quiet habits, like Helen's blueberries or George's pumpkin seeds, they are reminders that motivation after 70 isn't about running marathons. It's about choosing to care, even when the world says it's too late. So tonight, before you reach for chips or cookies, ask yourself, what does my brain need from me? What would future you thank you for? And then reach for something that honors your mind, your memories, your story. A small handful of blueberries, a bowl of pumpkin seeds. Not just food, but fuel for the moments still waiting to be lived. If you're still here with me, I want to ask you something. Where are you watching from? Are you in the US, Canada, the UK, or maybe somewhere further? Australia, Germany, Mexico? I'd love to know. Leave a comment. Let's build a community rooted in shared stories, rooted in elderly reflections, and proud of the lessons we've earned. And if this spoke to you, I invite you gently but sincerely to like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss a next story or tip that could change how you see aging. Because here on Elderly Reflections, we believe in more than information. We believe in transformation, in small actions that lead to lasting clarity, in life lessons from the elderly, passed down not just to remember, but to live better. Starting tonight, there's something sacred about the quiet hours before sleep, especially when you're past 65. It's the time when the noise of the world begins to fade, and you're finally left with yourself, your thoughts, your body, your memories. But here's the thing most people don't realize. Those final hours aren't just for winding down. They're for rebuilding. That's when your body does its deepest healing, and your brain, your precious brain, starts sorting through the clutter of the day, deciding what to keep, what to forget, and what to repair. And that process, it depends deeply on what you've fed it. In the first section, we talked about blueberries and pumpkin seeds, two quiet powerhouses. But now I want to take you deeper into this ritual of nourishment. I want to introduce you to something warm, comforting, and ancient. A drink known by many names, but remembered best as golden milk. Turmeric milk. Maybe you've heard of it. Maybe you've passed it in the health aisle, thinking it's just a trend. But for centuries, it's been a healing drink passed down through generations in India, known for its ability to soothe the body and calm the mind. At the center of golden milk is turmeric, bright, earthy, and rich in curcumin, one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds ever studied. Curcumin doesn't just reduce swelling in the joints or ease digestion. It crosses the blood-brain barrier. It reduces oxidative stress in the brain, and most importantly, it has been linked to improved memory, attention, and mood in older adults, according to a study published in the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry. And when you combine turmeric with warm milk and a pinch of black pepper, yes, just a pinch, it becomes easier for your body to absorb and put to use. Let me tell you about Joyce. She's 81, lives alone in a small cottage on the edge of Devon, England. Soft voice, always humming an old tune when she cooks. But for the past year, her nights had become a struggle. Asleep, wandering thoughts, moments of confusion when she'd wake and not know what time it was. Her granddaughter, who studies herbal nutrition, suggested something simple. A warm cup of turmeric milk an hour before bed. No sugar, just milk, turmeric, pepper, and a touch of honey. Joyce gave it a try. She said it felt strange at first, like something from a different world. But after 2 weeks, she called it her. She was sleeping through the night. Her dreams were clearer. She felt calmer. She started remembering more of her to-do lists, even waking up feeling lighter. Now, I know not everyone likes milk, and that's okay. You can use plant-based milk, like almond or oat, as long as there's a bit of healthy fat to help absorb the turmeric. This isn't about following a recipe. It's about building a habit that speaks to your brain, something that tells your nervous system it's time to rest. You're safe, you're supported. And speaking of habits, there's one more bedtime food I want to tell you about today. Not a drink, not a pill, but something small, soft, and bursting with healing power. Kiwi, that's right. The fuzzy green fruit we often overlook in favor of apples or bananas. But let me tell you, kiwi might just be the missing piece in your nighttime routine. Why? Because kiwi is one of the only fruits ever studied directly for its impact on sleep quality, and the results are astonishing. In a study from the Asia-Pacific Journal of Clinical Nutrition, older adults who ate 2 kiwis 1 hour before bed reported falling asleep faster, sleeping longer, and waking less throughout the night. But sleep isn't the only gift kiwi brings. It's packed with vitamin C, vitamin K, in a unique antioxidant blend that supports brain health, eye health, and immune resilience. These are the kinds of quiet nutrients that help your body feel refreshed, not just rested, but recovered. Let me tell you about Harold, a 74-year-old widower from New Jersey. After his wife passed, he found himself lying awake most nights, staring at the ceiling. His mind raced. His body ached. He tried white noise, teas, even mild sleeping pills, but nothing felt natural. His daughter, who works as a dietitian, gave him a simple challenge. Dad, try 2 kiwis at night for a week. Just he did. And that was the start of something new. Harold said he didn't feel knocked out. He felt invited to sleep, like his body remembered how. Within a week, he was waking up without the heaviness. Within 2 weeks, he was walking longer, laughing more. That's what this is about. Not fixing everything overnight, not chasing magic cures, but trusting your body's ability to heal when you give it the right tools. A bowl of golden milk, a couple slices of kiwi, a quiet moment without screens, without noise, just you, your breath, and your choices. Because elderly wisdom teaches us that after 70, after 80, it's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, about tuning into the gentle signs your body gives you. And when you eat with intention, when you choose foods that support clarity and peace, you're not just caring for your brain. You're telling it, I still believe in you. So as you think about tonight, I'll ask you again, what are you feeding your memory? Are you joining us from the US, the UK, maybe Europe or South America? Every story matters. Every voice adds to this community of elderly reflection, a space where life lessons from the elderly are not only remembered, but celebrated. And before we move on to the final section, I invite you to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and tap the bell so you'll always be the first to hear what's next. Because here, we don't just talk about senior health. We honor the deep strength that comes from quiet routines, from old recipes, from the motivation to choose better, even when no one's watching. There's something powerful about the decisions we make in silence, especially in the evening when the world begins to settle and the only voice left is the one inside us. For those of us over 65, these quiet hours matter more than ever. They aren't just the end of a day, they are the beginning of restoration. You see, your brain doesn't stop working when you go to sleep. It begins cleaning, sorting, and healing, and what you give it beforehand? Just a few small foods, a few intentional choices, can decide how clearly you think tomorrow. In the first two sections, we talked about 5 of those quiet champions: blueberries, pumpkin seeds, turmeric milk, kiwi, and the wisdom they carry. But there's one more I need to share with you. One final food to complete the circle. And it's probably already sitting in your kitchen. I'm talking about Greek yogurt. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, "Isn't that breakfast food?" Hear me out. Greek yogurt is one of the most underrated nighttime foods for seniors. Why? Because it contains casein protein, which digests slowly throughout the night. That means your brain and muscles are being nourished hour by hour while you sleep, helping prevent the age muscle loss that accelerates in your 70s and 80s. But there's more. Greek yogurt is rich in calcium, and calcium is what your body uses to naturally produce melatonin, the hormone that signals to your brain it's time to fall asleep. Many older adults struggle with falling or staying asleep, not because they're broken, but because their body isn't making enough melatonin. And without enough calcium in your system, that process gets harder. So yes, Greek yogurt can help restore your natural sleep rhythm. Not by knocking you out, but by quietly nudging your system into balance. Let me tell you about Robert, a 76-year-old retired firefighter from Michigan. He'd always been active, chopping wood, fixing his neighbor's porch, gardening. But lately he was waking up stiff, groggy, sometimes confused. His doctor said it was just aging. Nothing we can do. But Robert didn't believe that. He wasn't ready to give in to that kind of decline, so he started something small. Half a cup of Greek yogurt before bed, just that. Sometimes he added a drizzle of honey, other nights a few blueberries on top. Within 10 days, Robert told me he was waking up refreshed. His balance improved. He started writing again in the mornings, something he hadn't done in years. And he said something that stuck with me: "I feel like my brain is catching up to my heart." That's what this entire journey has been about. Not food for food's sake, but food as a form of love. Food as inspiration. Food as a way to say to yourself, I still matter, I'm still here. These 6 evening foods, blueberries, pumpkin seeds, turmeric milk, kiwi, Greek yogurt, and the ritual that holds them together, aren't just about memory. They're about dignity, about making your nights count so your days can shine. Now let's talk about what to avoid, because sometimes what we remove is just as important as what we add. Many seniors snack on toast, crackers, cookies, or sugary cereal at night. These may seem comforting, but they spike blood sugar, stress the heart, and disturb deep sleep. Over time, they quietly chip away at your clarity, your focus, your energy. And then there's alcohol. A glass of wine might help you fall asleep faster, but studies show it actually disrupts the deep stages of sleep and increases nighttime heart rate. Especially dangerous for anyone with cognitive or circulatory issues. If you do drink, keep it early in the evening, and keep it small. Hydration is also important, but too much liquid before bed can lead to frequent bathroom trips, and for some seniors, even dangerous nighttime falls. So sip slowly, stay balanced, and trust your body's rhythm. Now let's bring this all together. I want you to imagine your own night train. Just like George, an 82-year-old man from Vermont I once met. Every night at 8:30, George made himself a simple plate. A few walnuts, a small bowl of yogurt, maybe a kiwi or a spoon of turmeric milk. He'd sit by the window, turn off the TV, and light one soft lamp. Sometimes he wrote in his journal. Sometimes he just sat quiet, and over time that tray became more than food. It became a ritual of self-respect, a message to his brain and body that said, I'm still worth caring for. You don't need to eat all 6 of these foods every night. Choose 2 or 3. Rotate them through the week. Listen to how your body feels. Be curious, be kind to yourself, and remember, healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens slowly, like the tide returning to the shore. All it takes is one gentle step. Now, before I close, I want to invite you truly, sincerely to become part of this family here at Elderly Reflections. If this video touched something in you, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss a future story, a tip, or a voice that helps you live just a little better. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Are you in the US, Canada, Australia, Germany? I'd love to hear your story, your journey, your routine. Because no matter your age, whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your life still has chapters left to write. And tonight, in the quiet of your own kitchen, with a spoonful of yogurt or a sip of golden milk, you're choosing how that next chapter begins. You're choosing clarity, strength, and peace. That's not just food. That's motivation. That's elderly wisdom. That's the kind of life lesson only time can teach, and only you can live.